All right, Zoreem, we're coming to the pursuit anyways. Glacell Park. That's Glacell Park. Where's 4? Okay. Are they coming to me out of the break? Anybody? Okay. Yep. That black sedan, that's right, Bob. Marla being pursued by the California Highway Patrol. Skyfox first on the scene here on the eastbound side of the 91, heading into Corona, coming away from the 71, the Chino Valley Freeway. Staying in the fast lane, that far left lane, this stretch of the 91 that we call the Corona Crawl. They have those fast track lanes. Those are to the left. This is the main line portion of the freeway, and you can see the 3-4 CHP units tracking this black Camry that is allegedly stolen out of Anaheim. And this did start in the Anaheim area, and the Anaheim Police Department initiated the pursuit, but then the CHP took over when it picked up on the 91. County, now into the Inland Empire, into Riverside County, eastbound side of the 91 freeway, now approaching the 15 freeway. We heard at one time the eastbound 91, that's right, Marla, Bob. This Camry being pursued by the California Highway Patrol, allegedly stolen in Orange County in the Anaheim area. He just passed, the suspect did, and we believe it's only the driver that's inside this vehicle, the 15 freeway. So now heading out of Corona, more towards Riverside on the eastbound 91 at a good clip. And again, we heard on scanner traffic that he was traveling at a speed as high as 100 miles an hour for a time. Now more in the 75 to 80 mile an hour range, but you can see definitely ahead of traffic here. Now in the middle lanes, that black Camry looks like the windshields, windows are partially tinted there, at least on the passenger and driver side. You can see the hands on the steering wheel. 91 freeway westbound. You can see the Camry there. It looks to be a newer model Camry, again allegedly stolen out of the Anaheim area. The Anaheim Police Department initiated the pursuit when they heard that this vehicle was stolen. Once it entered the 91 freeway, that's when the California Highway Patrol picked up. No air unit as of yet. The weather has improved, and we are seeing a better ceiling. Earlier, this area was really socked in, and it was raining down below. The freeway does look dry at this time, but there are areas in Southern California where that rain continues to fall. The drizzle and light rain. Eastbound side of the 91 now heading into Riverside. Relatively light traffic at this hour, at the noon hour here out in Riverside County. And he has a lot of options. He can stay on the 91 freeway. He's going to be coming up on that very busy Riverside interchange in a few more miles, and he will have the choice to take a couple of different directions from there. Obviously, Bob and Marla, how much gas is in that vehicle always plays into these pursuits. Does he know where he's going as well? Unclear if he's from this area, if he's familiar with that area. All that information obviously is being considered by the California Highway Patrol as they pursue this stolen vehicle suspect. Yeah, absolutely. And again, he's running because he thinks he can get away. And some of these suspects, as we've seen recently, have been able to evade law enforcement after being pursued for some time. Again, light volume. If you're just joining us, this is the eastbound side of the 91. Skyfox was first on the scene on this pursuit in Riverside County, heading into Riverside towards the Riverside interchange. That's towards downtown Riverside. The Mission Inn over by there as well, UC Riverside. And looking up ahead, it looks like this is the type of volume he's going to be dealing with. And he's backed off on the speed a bit, about 70 miles an hour perhaps. Again, he was flying down the 91 freeway out of Orange County through the Santa Ana River Canyon, passing the 55 freeway, and then the Chino Valley Freeway, the 71. He had options there to make the transitions to either of those roadways, but did not. Again, we believe it's just the driver, just the suspect inside this vehicle, a stolen vehicle suspect, tinted windows in this black, newer model Camry, it appears, heading eastbound on the 91 freeway.
The Anaheim police did tweet out that they are in pursuit of a possible stolen vehicle. Again, they said the eastbound State Route 91 through Imperial Highway, and again, that's in the past now that we're going into the Riverside area. But looks like traffic really is on this driver's side in terms of the volume of traffic here. So it's almost like an open road here. And we don't see the CHP cruiser there following behind with lights and sirens on. So, you know, this pursuit could go on for some time.
And we do know now that there are two law enforcement helicopters tracking this as well. A helicopter from the California Highway Patrol as well as from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Because, again, that's where this pursuit started, in Orange County, in the heart of Orange County, in Anaheim, a stolen vehicle. And you said it, Bob, that's right, the volume is light. We'll widen out just a little bit, and you could see traffic is moving at a good clip. I'm not seeing any big backups up ahead. I just checked with the CHP logs. I'm not seeing any accidents either that could cause a bit of a bottleneck and for this pursuit to slow down. Right now, I'm just counting two CHP cruisers there trailing this suspect here, this stolen vehicle suspect, eastbound on the 91, now into Riverside. Again, the second county, starting in Orange County, in Anaheim. That's where the Anaheim Police Department first tracked this suspect down, allegedly stealing this car somewhere in that area, and then picking up the pursuit. But once the pursuit entered the 91 freeway, that's when the California Highway Patrol picked it up. Again, as we see this, you can see there is a CHP officer holding traffic there at that ramp. We see that a lot. Once a pursuit stays the course, so to speak, stays on the same route, they start to get the trend of what the suspect is thinking and what direction they may go. And they start to hold traffic in that way just for the safety of the motorists. And speaking of which, if you ever have anything like this coming up on your way in the rearview mirror, just very safely and slowly pull off to the right if you can. Give the officers plenty of space. Never try to be a hero. Never try to block in a suspect because you just don't know who you're dealing with. What we do know is that he's trying to evade police, and as long as he's out of custody, that's exactly what he's doing. The CHP wants to bring this to a safe end. If they get the opportunity to perform the pit maneuver, the pursuit intervention technique, they will do that. On a freeway like this, that's very difficult to do.
So we see this a lot in these situations. From one county to the next, it becomes a collaborative effort. It started with Anaheim PD, and now you mentioned two helicopters, one CHP chopper, and then Orange County Sheriff's Department also taking part in this as well. So what are the options here for law enforcement, Rick? Because we see this too. Black and whites trailing this guy, but then up ahead, law enforcement, they're getting in place.
Yeah, the helicopters are watching from above. They're going to do the best they can so that this guy doesn't get away. They're going to keep a relatively safe distance. Again, they want to keep, and now we're counting 4 CHP units trailing him down below here. A couple joined in, as we saw. And up ahead, there's other units as well staging. And now we're just starting to see a little bit of a slowdown here. At these ramps, when more traffic gets on the freeway, you could see a little bit of slowdown in those far right lanes. The carpool lane and left lane, Those are the lanes that the suspect is using at this time. Again, they want to end this safely. They don't want any innocent individuals being hurt. I mentioned this during these pursuits that we cover, that California leads the state in individuals who are either hurt or killed as a result of these pursuits. Different agencies have different methods of handling these pursuits. Some agencies are more aggressive than others. Others are much more conservative because of those stats. And each situation is assessed differently based upon whether or not they know anything about the suspect. Sometimes they do. Whether or not this is a serious armed individual. A lot of the worst case.
All right, there's a signal again as CHP officers pursue this allegedly stolen black Camry out of Anaheim, now well into Riverside County, eastbound 91, going at clips of up to 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, suspected a stolen vehicle, again, just a black Toyota Camry. When we get into that area towards Riverside County, sometimes the signal there is a little difficult to get to. But again, a real dangerous situation that we're talking about here, because the high rate of speed that this car is going. I think we've got our signal back up here, Rick.
All right, Rick, you're back.
And we're entering downtown Riverside now, and our apologies for that. We're having to change mountaintops because of the topographic features here in Southern California. But we continue to track this eastbound on the 91 freeway, heading right into the heart of Riverside. You know the area. You see Riverside, the Mission Inn, and then that very busy interchange, the Riverside interchange. And that's where this suspect could have some choices. He may stay the course and continue eastbound. He can transition onto the 215 freeway. There's all kinds of options. And looking up ahead, still the volume, mostly on the moderate to lighter side. At the interchange, it builds up just a bit, but nothing like we see during the morning rush. You can see that black sedan, that Camry, allegedly stolen out of Anaheim, still being pursued by the California Highway Patrol. Up with us tracking this pursuit. There are two helicopters, law enforcement helicopters, a California Highway Patrol helicopter, as well as an Orange County Sheriff's deputy's helicopter here. And he's weaving in and out of lanes now a little bit. So let's see. He's driving a little bit more erratically, cutting through vehicles here, keeping to a speed of about 75, 80 miles an hour. You can see that general flow of traffic is likely at about 60, 65 miles an hour, where you always should be. Again, this is a situation in which they have to be cautious because they don't want any accidents to occur in which any of these innocent drivers just making their way down the eastbound 91 get caught up in. And at this time, the CHP units, they're trailing him tight, but not too aggressively. They don't want to agitate them. A lot of times we do see that, where once a unit gets awfully close to the suspect at hand, then they start driving a little bit more erratically at a higher rate of speed, in and out of traffic, causing dangerous situations. So the Riverside interchange coming up here in another mile or two. We're right over downtown Riverside now, in the heart of Riverside County.
And, you know, we haven't really seen him driving erratically, of course, going well beyond the speed limit.
Little cat
as
mouse
I
there,
say
little
that,
cat
then
mouse.
he pulls
Yeah,
that little maneuver.
Exactly. He was trying to do a little decoy there, see if he could hop off the freeway there. But sure enough, that doesn't. These officers, and I just showed this last week. There's a training facility in the north end of the San Fernando Valley, adjacent to the Los Angeles Riverside, off the 5 and 405, the reservoir, the LA reservoir, that officers train for these pursuits. They train, they do perform the pit maneuvers. They wet down the pavement there. They spin out. They do all kinds of things that we actually see live during these pursuits. So they're ready for this. They know what to do in situations like this. They've handled enough of these where they have an idea of what they want to do to bring a high-speed freeway pursuit to an end. And time is on their side. They have plenty of assets in the air and on the ground to track suspects like this, and that's what they're doing here in Riverside.
You also bring up a good point, Rick, because it is a freeway pursuit by and large for the most part, although this did start in the jurisdiction of Anaheim, but it's pretty much been on the open freeway here as we do approach that very busy interchange there. And again, as you said, some big choices to make here, the 215, the 10 freeway. Where will this driver go? Also, could the driver could also just dump off and get into residential and business areas here. So we'll have to see. Is this the interchange right here?
This is the interchange, and again, he's staying the course here. He's making his way eastbound coming up through the interchange on the 91 freeway, and traffic is still relatively light. Now, from this point, you can continue off to the east, pick up the 60, head towards Palm Springs. You can intersect the northbound 215 freeway. All kinds of options and a traffic condition that's rather light at this time. Again, we don't know how much fuel he had in his automobile at this time. You can see that main cruiser, the lead cruiser in this pursuit, still trailing by about 4 or 5 seconds. The two helicopters continue up ahead, tracking this suspect as well as he continues eastbound. Now several miles. He's crossed quite a bit of real estate here coming out of Anaheim. Now eastbound, exiting actually the city of Riverside.
All right, Rick, we do have Sergeant Darren Wyatt from Anaheim PD where this pursuit started. Sergeant, what can you tell us about this suspect?
Not much about the suspect himself, Bob, because we just don't have that information. At about 12:10 this afternoon, an Anaheim Police K-9 unit was in the area of the 91 freeway at Harbor Boulevard in Anaheim. He ran the license plate on this black Camry. It came back as one lost or stolen license plate, which means that somebody has reported the license plate that is on this car stolen. That's a very common tactic for people who steal cars, is that they'll take a license plate from another car, put it on the stolen car to prevent discovery that the car is actually stolen. That K-9 officer attempted an enforcement stop on the vehicle. It immediately fled. It got onto the 91 freeway. We pursued it eastbound on 91 freeway throughout the city limits of Anaheim with the assistance of the Orange County Sheriff's Department helicopter. When we left the city limits, the Highway Patrol has taken over. Anaheim PD has completely relinquished control of the pursuit to the Highway Patrol at this point. You can see it's traveled a considerable distance on the 91 freeway out through Corona and now out through Riverside as well.
Yes, Sergeant Wyatt, Marla Tea is here. So now that you've completely relinquished control to CHP, then, but just in your experience, what do you make of what you're seeing so far? Because he's well beyond downtown Riverside at this point, traveling, as you said, quite a bit.
Yeah, Marla, it's really hard to say because we have not been able to identify the driver. In fact, we don't even know how many people are in the car. As you can see, it's got dark tinted windows. We know there's at least one person driving, but we don't know how many other occupants are in the car. At this point, we don't know if the driver is fleeing because it's a stolen car or if they've been involved in some other type of criminal activity or crimes. That's something that we'll have to make sense of once the pursuit terminates.
That's a very good point, Sergeant. Still unclear how many people are inside that car. But just to make it clear here, there was an attempted stop on this vehicle because the stolen plates were, the plates were run back and it was stolen, but the vehicle never stopped. It just kept going.
That is correct. And again, we believe that the car is stolen. I don't know that that is confirmed yet because we haven't been able to run the VIN number to actually match the vehicle to the vehicle identification number. We just know that the license plates that are on it, one of those plates was reported stolen, and it does not match the vehicle that it's on.
All right, Sergeant Darren White with Anaheim Police Department, we appreciate your insight today.
Thank you for your time, Sergeant.
Have a great day. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're in and out of the reception area here from our helicopter. I think we got it back up here. Rick, where are we now?
215 freeway northbound coming away from that Riverside interchange. He stayed the course heading east, northeastward, and on the 215. Now he's approaching the community of Colton and another big interchange coming up. This is where the 215 and 10 freeways meet. So we'll be heading in towards San Bernardino, crossing the county line. We just crossed the Riverside San Bernardino county line, and it looks like he's veering off to the right. Is he paying? Yep. He's playing cat and mouse again, staying on the freeway, 215 freeway, more in a northerly direction on this stretch of the 215, approaching the 10, which is a major east-west thoroughfare. Again, the Transcontinental Highway, which extends from Santa Monica all the way to Jacksonville. He can make a left and head west back towards the coast, or he could go east on the 10 and head towards Banning, Beaumont, and Palm Springs. He's staying in the two right lanes here, so perhaps he's thinking of doing just that, making a transition onto the 10 freeway in Colton. Again, northbound on the 215 right now. Here comes that interchange, and we'll see exactly what he decides to do. He's veering more to the right at this point, so he does have that option to make the transition to either direction of the 10 freeway here in Colton. If he stays north on the 215, that will take him right up into downtown San Bernardino. And now he is veering more to the left, so the option for that transition, although the volume's so light, he can cut across still at any moment. But as of right now, it looks like he is staying northbound on the 215, now in San Bernardino County. So now this is a 3-county pursuit. starting in Orange County. And again, there's an Orange County Sheriff's helicopter following this, because that's the county that this did start in, even though that we just heard that the Anaheim Police Department did relinquish all the jurisdictional aspects to the California Highway Patrol. And there's the interchange, and he is going to stay northbound on the 215. He's in Colton. There it is. There's the 10 freeway, left to right on the monitor there, traveling northbound on the 215 freeway up towards San Bernardino. Now heading up towards the 210, the Foothill Freeway. Now, this stretch of the 215 ends at the 210. That's where the helicopter or the freeway actually starts and ends. And he will have to make a transition from either direction to either direction, I should say, of the 210 Foothill Freeway, east and westbound. And let me give you guys a little bit of a warning right now, Bob and Marla. So forgive me. This area, we really start to lose communication with the station. Not our picture, but my ability to hear you and if you guys are speaking. So if I speak over you or I continue to report on exactly what's happening, that's the reason why. It's our IFB that drops out in this area. So far,
well, he called it.
Just as he said
yeah,
it.
Just
Yeah,
as
you
he
got the
said
San Bernardino Mountains over there.
Right.
So the 215 northbound is where this pursuit is now going towards, through the past Colton, through the San Bernardino area, up to the 210 freeway, just before the 210 freeway. We got our signal back right now.
Hey, Rick, quick question for you. We were just speaking to Sergeant Darren Wyatt with Anaheim Police. Of course, that's the agency that picked this up in the first place. Just over 30 minutes ago, 12:10, when this pursuit began. Now, he was unclear if there was more than one person in the car other than the driver. Have you confirmed that?
And that's what I heard as well. But we were told initially that units on the ground had determined that they believed that there was just the driver. So with the tinted windows, which I brought that to everybody's attention early on when we first came upon this pursuit, that it is difficult to see. But it looks like someone's sticking their hand out in the passenger seat as we speak.
Huh.
Interesting.
So there we go. So there is possibly another person in there. There has to be, because you can't be on the steering wheel and leaning up. Look at that, a little cat and mouse again by the gore point, the guardrail there, narrowly missing that guardrail. Still on the 215 freeway northbound. This is in San Bernardino. He's coming up on the 210, the Foothill Freeway. He will have to either make a transition to the east or westbound side of the 210 if he stays on this stretch of the 215 and doesn't exit before then. Again, San Bernardino County, in San Bernardino now, downtown San Bernardino, right up to the right side or the east side of the 215 freeway here. And again, approaching the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains and the 210 Foothill Freeway, veering more to the right again. So we'll see if he or she, because we don't know if the driver is male or female at this time. And again, initially we heard that there was just the driver. At least that's what the officers on the ground believe, that there was just the driver inside this vehicle. But from that last shot, it appeared that there's somebody was in the passenger seat with their hands out the window, possibly discarding something or making gestures to law enforcement or to the motorist. We'll try to get on that side, on the east side here, and get a look in from that side. Our pilot's going to move over to that side, and we'll see if we could get a better idea from up here in Sky Fox. Wide open freeway, 215 freeway northbound here in San Bernardino, approaching the 210. Here comes that interchange, and we'll see if the suspect chooses to make a transition to either direction of the 210 freeway. He's wanted to continue east and north as far away from Orange County as possible. Whether or not he or she has a plan, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they like to visit neighborhoods that they're familiar with so that they can essentially believe that they could have a better opportunity to evade law enforcement. We see that quite often, and at times even doing circles, these pursuits in the same neighborhood, perhaps trying to get some help from friends or family. But at this point, we just don't know what the suspects now are thinking at this time. All they're thinking is they want to get away, stay away from
I almost think that
and
this
stay
person
out
is
of jail, because once they are taking into custody, that's exactly where they're going.
I
All right, here we go. This is the stretch of the 215 freeway here, and we'll see what direction the suspects want to go here. They could continue north and go up through all the way up to the DeVore area, up through the Cajon Pass, or they could transition onto either direction of the 210. If we push in a little bit, we'll see if we see anybody in that passenger seat. And it doesn't. It looks like the windows rolled up again there. But tinted windows, both sides, on the driver and passenger side. All right, now making a strong veer to the left, but coming back again. He's been doing this quite frequently, trying to play a little cat and mouse with the officers here to see if they can avoid the officers pursuing, the CHP pursuing at this time. Northbound on the 215, and it looks like it's going to stay that direction, northbound on the 215 all the way up through the Cajon Pass. So we made that transition to the northbound side of the 215 freeway. Now he's heading up towards DeVore, and from there, we're talking about going up the Cajon Pass, up towards Apple Valley, Hesperia, the high desert communities, into the San Bernardino Mountains. Again, this pursuit has covered quite a bit of real estate. 3 counties, starting in Orange County, if you're just tuning in Anaheim, where the license plate we heard was looked up by Anaheim Police Department, and this vehicle was found to be stolen. They attempted to stop. They lit the suspects up. They failed to yield, and the pursuit was on. First, eastbound on the 91, all the way through the Riverside interchange. From there, picking up the northbound side of the 215 freeway, passing the 10 through Colton, up through downtown San Bernardino. Now on the 215 northbound, heading up towards DeVore, where the 215 and 15 merge at the base of the Cajon Pass. Again, I have no communication with you, Bob and Marla, so I'll give it to you for just a little bit. And if I start giving you guys some location information, forgive me if I speak over you.
All right. We have our signal here, which is a good thing. But again, Rick Dickert saying that he can't hear us now because of the location where he is. So just to recap for you, Anaheim Police telling us just after noon they tried to stop this Toyota Camry, the driver, inside because of what appeared to be stolen plates, but they did not. The driver did not stop. Still unclear how many people are inside this vehicle. They kept going. A canine.
Did exactly what they should do in a situation like this. Again, never try to be a hero. Give the law enforcement plenty of space. This is a narrow stretch of the 215. You can see only 2 lanes now. And looking up ahead, there's a little bit more volume and traffic that's moving at only 60, 65 miles an hour. This is a grade that heads up towards DeVore, towards the 15. And if this suspect chooses to take that 15 freeway northbound, he's going to go right up through the Cajon Pass, up towards the high desert communities of Apple Valley, Hesperia, the Mojave Desert. And that's where we may encounter a little bit of rain, definitely some fog up there as well because of all that marine air that's being pushed north up against the windward, the coastal side of these slopes of the transverse range, the San Bernardino and the San Gabriel Mountains there. Again, northbound side of the 215 freeway, heading up towards the 15. The next community will be DeVore, and that is where the 15 and 215 freeway split at the base of the Cajon Pass.
All right. Well, as Rick just mentioned, this is the narrow stretch of the 215. Heading toward the 15 in DeVore, the high desert communities here. This pursuit has been underway for almost 40 minutes at this point. This Toyota Camry, black, reportedly stolen out of Anaheim anyway, as we see a little bit of zigzagging going on now.
All right, weaving in and out of lanes here. Again, this is just a 2-lane highway, the stretch of the 215 freeway, kind of straddling the center there, because up ahead it does look like there's a little bit more traffic. There's a lot of big rigs. Take this stretch of both the 15 and 215 freeway to make their way in and out of Southern California, the Inland Empire, up towards the desert, to Vegas, and points farther to the east. All right, looks like he's going to stay northbound on the 215 freeway. Still a CHP helicopter I could see low following this from just a couple hundred feet above the freeway on the northbound side of the 215. Up ahead a couple miles is that interchange. The next big one is the 15 freeway. And this is really the last opportunity for him to stay in the greater Los Angeles area, the Inland Empire, LA County, because if he continues northbound on that 15, that's the stretch, you all know it, taking your way up to the high desert towards Vegas, the 15 freeway, that will head this pursuit up the Cajon Pass all the way into the desert, the Mojave Desert, and the communities of Hesperia, Apple Valley, and Victorville. Now traveling at about 60, 65 miles an hour. I'm seeing some motorists up ahead pulling off to the right. You can see that pickup truck doing, again, real good to see that. And that's exactly what you want to do. Again, I mentioned earlier, never try to be a hero. You don't know who you're dealing with. I've covered pursuits where trucks and other vehicles have tried to block in these suspects, thinking that they could help law enforcement when in essence they can make things more dangerous when doing something like that. You just don't know. This could be a carjacking situation. You just don't know what the mental frame of these suspects are, if they have a weapon or not. All we know is they're evading police. This driver and perhaps at least one passenger in the front seat there with the driver northbound on the 215 freeway. I can see the interchange up ahead, the interchange of the 15 and 215, and there's definitely some weather up there as well.
All right, so heading up towards the Cajon Pass here, as you said, a 3-county pursuit now, 60 to 70 miles per hour we're clocking right now, but this is a pursuit that went upwards of 100 miles per hour, and Rick Dickert has been calling it a cat and mouse game because it almost appears that he's weaving in and out and at times tries to lure the officers into going into veer off the freeway and into perhaps a residential area, but then veers back into the freeway lanes there, but continues pretty much on an open road.
Okay, we'll widen out a little bit here for you. We're going to show you what the weather conditions are like here, and this interchange is coming up on it. If he or she chooses to make the transition and head south on the 15 freeway, then that would head back into the direction of the Inland Empire, down towards Ontario, Fontana. If they make their way north, they're pretty much going to stay the course, 15 freeway north, all the way up through the Cajon Pass, towards Highway 138 and towards, again, Hesperia, Apple Valley, Victorville, and we'll see what happens here. It looks like kind of staying to the right here, so possibly making the transition down the 15. If the suspects do, then we're going to stay clear of this weather, but if it goes any farther north, up into that canyon, that pass, all the airships, law enforcement included, are going to have to pull off. And look at that, another little cat and mouse there, trying to evade officers and making it seem like they were going to exit the freeway, make a transition, but sure enough, still staying the course for the most part, but still an option, still an opportunity here to make a change. But as of right now, look at that, see, across that white line, and it looks like at this point, this is a very busy interchange coming into frame. You guys will see it here. He's going to stay north on the 215, merging onto the 15 freeway. This is where the 215 running from the lower right to the upper right, and the 15 freeway, that's the 15 up through the Cajon Pass, and it appears this suspect will continue northbound on the 15 freeway, and will encounter a wall of fog, possibly some drizzle as well. We'll tilt the camera up and we'll show you what the weather conditions are like up in that canyon there. CHP helicopter still trailing a bit low, but that's the situation right there. And unfortunately, we're going to have to just sit it out right here for now and see if that's the case, if they continue northbound up the canyon there, because we're not going to be able to track it much farther. Again, northbound side of the 15. This started in Anaheim as a stolen vehicle suspect. The Anaheim Police Department initiated the pursuit after lighting the suspects up. They ran the plates. The plates came back as a stolen vehicle. Obviously, they know the registered owner now, but the registered owner, not the driver, and that the driver is suspected of stealing this vehicle. This pursuit made its way out of Anaheim, eastbound on the 91. That's where the California Highway Patrol picked it up through the Santa Ana River Canyon and farther to the east into Riverside, passing the Riverside interchange. They're picking up the 215, staying the course on the 215 freeway northbound up through San Bernardino, passing the 210, having the option to go east or west on the 210, but continuing north, now into DeBoer, now on the 15 freeway northbound. Moving a little bit slower on the northbound side of the 15. We're going to see if we can make it a little farther up to the north here. But again, this weather could give us some problem, and safety always first, especially with all these helicopters up here as well. This pass is so busy, Interstate 15 here, north and southbound. There's always a lot of volume, and looking up the hill, lots of big rig traffic, but still, I'll tell you what, the volume does not look too heavy. Again, it's the middle of the day. Once the morning rush is over, the southbound side loosens up. The afternoon rush will be picking up shortly, and that's when the northbound side really starts to build up. Looks like traffic is being held back just a little bit. I don't know if there's a unit trying to hold a brake. Nope, looks like those ramps are still open, and we're going to continue a little farther north, see how much farther north we can get tracking this up the 15 freeway northbound, coming out of the Inland Empire into the Mojave Desert. This will be the top of the Cajon Pass near Highway 138, and then continue north. Hey, if you had a full tank of gas, you can, perhaps make it several miles northbound up the 15 freeway here.
And
we'll continue to track it as far as we can, but as you could see, definitely some fog and low cloudiness in the area. But it looks like there could be a little bit of a break up ahead, so we may be able to track it a little farther. Again, I completely lost communication with you, Bob and Marla, back at the station, and we'll continue to track this. And I'll continue to give you guys the location updates as far as we can make it.
All right, so northbound 15, the Cajon Pass here through DeVore. This started again in Anaheim, some 60 miles away from where they currently are now. CHP tracking this. There's a CHP helicopter in the air, as well as a collaborative effort with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. They also have a helicopter up. And it looks like we just lost our signal with our helicopter, Skyfox, as not necessarily surprised because this is out of our jurisdiction. And plus the weather conditions there at that point
and
as
once you get up towards that elevation there, a lot more difficulty there in terms of our signal strength there. And also the weather, as we've been talking about, and especially in that area, the CHP, their helicopter, may also have a tough time continuing to follow this through that area. Perhaps they hand it off to another CHP jurisdiction up north, but those black and whites will no doubt continue to follow this car that has now gone through 3 separate counties but continues to go up the Cajon Pass up into
northbound up the 215 freeway here through the Cajon Pass. The next major highway will be the 138, which is a east-west highway that runs on the desert side of the San Bernardino and San Gabriel Mountains. So there, he could choose, or she could choose, to make an exit there. Otherwise, continuing northbound, the first community of the high desert will be Hesperia. We're approaching the top of the Cajon Pass, which is an elevation of exactly 4,200 feet. Some fog and drizzle and low clouds up in this area, but as of right now, the ceiling's still high enough that we can continue to track this as far north as we can make it on our gas. And you could see a lot of big rig traffic on this stretch. This is that major thoroughfare. This 15 is between the Mojave Desert, Inland Empire, and Southern California. So we got a lot of trucks transporting goods north and south from Southern California to other states. And as of right now, still tracking northbound. Pretty steep grade. This Cajon Pass is, again, we're climbing to an elevation. The 15 freeway ground level elevation is 4,200 feet at the top of the Cajon Pass, heading into the high desert. You can see that big rig traffic mostly off to the right. They move at slower speeds there, but this sedan being pursued by the California Highway Patrol may be going 55, 60 miles an hour, so speeds have backed off as well. Again, how much gas this vehicle had when this pursuit first started late this morning in Anaheim, that's unknown at this time. But again, that's definitely something they factor in. But they're going to do whatever they can to bring this suspect into custody and to end this pursuit safely. And a lot of times, we'll see situations where, for whatever reason, the driver, the suspects just decide, hey, I've had enough. I'm going to pull off to the right and give up. And it ends in just an undramatic way. And you know, hey, that's what we'd like to see. All right, exiting the freeway here. Let's get the off-ramp. I think it's Claiborne here on the 15 freeway northbound. By the 138 is up ahead a mile. So Cleghorn here. He's going to make a left, go underneath the 15. And then this stretch of roadway circles back to the south. He can get back on the southbound side of the 15. And that's what he's going to do. All right, we're going to make a 180 here. And now we're heading southbound on the 15 freeway back down the hill. Maybe he didn't want to go to the high desert. He wants to go back to the Inland Empire. So we're going to track him southbound now over the same stretch of freeway that we just covered northbound. Now heading back to the south into the Inland Empire, into San Bernardino, back towards Fontana. Once it gets to the base of the Cajon Pass in DeVore, then you have that split again. You have the 15 that veers more to the southwest, to the southeast. You have the 215 freeway. And he'll have the option of taking either of those. But didn't want to go to the high desert, Bob and Marla. He wanted to make his way back down into the gloominess of the Inland Empire and the basin that's socked in with that deep marine layer.
Didn't want to go to Vegas.
No. So, I mean, that's really the most excitement that we've seen throughout this pursuit. It's been really lackluster, and I say that because he's just been staying straight. And yes, at one point the speed's up to 100 miles per hour, but then for the most part, 50 to 60 miles per hour. I'm not sure of how quickly he's...
And he is picking up speed a little bit because now he's going downhill down this stretch of the 15. Very similar volume, but as you can see, whizzing by the big rig traffic. The passenger vehicles up ahead as well, picking up 75 miles an hour perhaps, maybe 80 now, going downhill again southbound on the 15. Did not make it to the top of the Cajon Pass, which is at 4,200 feet. He exited at Cajon and essentially got right back on the 15, but in a southerly direction now. Still in San Bernardino County. Essentially, this is the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains, the San Gabriel Mountains off to the west of this location. Lots of rail traffic down through this route as well, adjacent to the 15. Fortunately, this is a trigger for so many fires, wildfires during the season as well because of all that activity and the dry brush, the chaparral-covered hillsides that you see down below there. Light to moderate volume. Southbound side of the 15 looks to be that way all the way down towards the split with the 215 and DeVore. And that's where this driver will have the opportunity to make that decision, whether continue south on the 15 down towards Fontana, Rialto, and Ontario, or make their way on the 215 back to where they covered, just in a different direction. Southbound side of the 15 still a couple miles from that split with the 215 freeway.
All right, and picking up speed, as you said, just because, and partially just because you're going downhill there from the Cajon Pass. Anybody who goes down that grade knows that you can pick up quite a bit of speed here, and we're losing our signal there, but we will probably gain that signal once they get out of that mountainous area near the Cajon Pass. But the driver deciding then to get off the freeway on the 15 freeway and turning around, heading back now into the Inland Empire area.
Still no big backup. There's going to be a sign.
I will continue to reconfigure our signal here to get that back on here. Again, this started around noon, so we're going on for about an hour now in the Anaheim area, and this is a chase that went to 3 different counties. This driver driving at speeds of upwards of 100 miles per hour, pretty much on the open roadway through 3 separate counties.
Right, so we're talking about, of course, Orange County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino County. This Toyota Camry black, said to be a newer model, stolen. It was a K9 unit that spotted this vehicle in Anaheim, and we have Rick back, so let's listen.
Trying to still evade officers, and they've done just that now for about an hour. Southbound side of the 15 freeway. Here we go, coming up on the split, kind of straddling the middle there, so maybe he's going to do one of those cat and mouse moves where he tries to let the officers think he's going to go one way, but then veers off to the left, and that white line is really the defining point there, and it looks like he is going to go. There he goes again, as I said, right through that gore point, narrowly missing that guardrail. He's done that a number of times, again, thinking that he may be able to evade officers, but it doesn't work. CHP helicopter tracking overhead, several CHP units on the ground. A little more volume down the hill here. He is making his way southbound, still on the 15 freeway, and that's where he's going to stay. Slowing down a little bit as he comes up on a little bit heavier volume here. But now you're going to see him veer to the right. There he goes, and staying on that way to the right, and staying on the 15 freeway, taking him down the hill, down towards Ontario and the 210 Foothill Freeway. There, again, another opportunity to make a transition, either to the east or westbound Foothill Freeway, or stay the course on the 15 all the way down into Temecula, southern Riverside County, and points to the south. Again, this pursuit's been going on for some time, so you got to think that fuel, depending upon how much fuel was in this vehicle when it was allegedly stolen out of Anaheim, has.
That's right. So southbound 15 making its way back, heading toward the Inland Empire. Right now, joining us on the line, we have Dennis Zine, our police specialist. Dennis, we talk to you all the time when we see pursuits like this. This one has been underway for nearly an hour now. Have you been watching with us as well, and what do you make of it?
Well, actually, I just attended a funeral, and I'm at the wake right now, but I've got a TV in front of me watching, so I've just tuned into it. It's obviously very erratic driving from what I've seen so far from the Skyfox, and we've got CHP en route. They're not tracking. They are definitely pursuing this particular vehicle. High speed, reckless manner, changing lanes. So this is not uncommon for the pursuits that we see in this region of Southern California. So he's desperate to get away and doing very erratic driving, as you've seen prior to this particular moment. But that CHP cruiser is continuing that close distance, and oftentimes you'll see them fall back and they go to a tracking mode with the air unit overhead. In this particular case, for whatever the reason, they're right on his tail, and they'll continue with that. And there should be additional CHP units behind the lead pursuit vehicle as we travel on the highway, as continuing passing vehicles. The traffic is obviously very light, which will give him an opportunity to continue his high speed. And I don't know if Skyfox can give you an estimate of the speed, but you see him passing a number of vehicles. Those vehicles are obviously going around 60, so he's probably going into 75, 80 plus miles per hour as he's continuing on that highway.
And we've been saying, Dennis, that this has stayed on the freeway, hasn't gone into any residential areas or hasn't gone off the freeway. So it does look like this could just go on for some time, as it's pretty much, free and clear in terms of the open roadway here.
Well, absolutely. And in this particular case, there's no way you can put a spike strip down. There's no way you can be able to do a pit maneuver. So until he runs out of fuel or until he decides to surrender, this will continue. If he's got a full tank of gas at those high speeds, now we see another cruiser. There'll be a secondary unit, as you see, just past the higher patrol unit. Now that unit will fall behind the primary. So there's always a primary, secondary, and other units fall in based upon the situation and what the suspects wanted to. So it looks like there's going to be a change at this particular place where the lead unit is going to surrender to the secondary that's going to take over the lead, and they may be in a jurisdictional environment where the CHP does those changes based upon the area that they're having the pursuit and where the negotiations where the transmission is taking place. So now it looks like another CHP unit is taking the lead. The other one is backing off, but he's still continuing at a high rate of speed. This is, again, not unusual for a person to think they're going to escape, but you're not going to get anywhere. You're in an open territory. The good part about the public is it's not a jeopardy of the public other than the motoring public. There's no pedestrians. There's no cross traffic. So what we find is traveling at an excessive speed on a highway. As you can see, the speed seems to be increasing, and that unit behind will then close in again. But this is when you want to look at a pursuit, when you're on a freeway and a freeway doesn't have a lot of traffic, this is the safest type of pursuit. So you don't have pedestrians, bicycles, motorcycle riders, and cross traffic. So he's just going to go balls out as he can, as fast as he can, as long as he can, think he's going to get away, but there's no way he's going to be able to escape, especially in that open area that we see.
Well, Dennis, you alluded to it a little bit ago there, but what can we expect from CHP in terms of, in their efforts to bring this to a close? I mean, if this sort of behavior continues of just, clocking speeds between 80 to 100 miles per hour on a nearly open freeway here, what can CHP do?
Well, they're not going to be able to do a pit maneuver. They're not going to be able to do a spike strip. They'll continue to follow, and they'll have units that will be in line to follow. The CHP is well tuned to these pursuits. Law enforcement officers are trained for pursuits, trained to negotiate that, and this is a particular situation that's not unusual. He's in basically an area that does not have a lot of traffic. It's not a commuter hour, so he'll continually travel and traverse those different lanes, but the CHP will continue this pursuit, whatever he's wanted for. And I don't know exactly what the criminal charges are, but this individual is obviously trying to flee. Whatever the case is, he's building up felony charges on the pursuit itself. But the CHP will not back off. They're going to continue with it. And as you can see, there's no place for this individual to hide. There's no way he can jump off the freeway and go into a residential area because it's all the freeway right now. At
this point, it's just a potential stolen vehicle, and the driver wouldn't stop. Hey, let's bring Rick Dickert back in. He can hear us now. And Rick, we know they were coming up to the interchange. So where are we right now?
And he chose to take the split with the 15 freeway coming down the hill, still on the southbound side of the 15, just past the 210 Foothill Freeway through Rancho Cucamonga, now approaching the 10 in Ontario. And we've seen this light volume for the duration of this pursuit, just not much traffic down below. He really picked up speed there for a time, coming downhill and then picking up that interchange with the 210 freeway. He was moving at about 90, 95 miles an hour again. Traveling southbound here on the 15 freeway. The next big interchange will be the 10 by the Ontario International Airport, now staying in the far right lane of traffic. You can see the lead cruiser still about 3-4 seconds behind him. Covering this pursuit is a CHP now, primarily in that they relinquished, the Anaheim Police Department relinquished their command hold on this once it entered the freeways. And many freeways and lots of real estate this pursuit has covered. Eastbound on the 91 out of Anaheim, through the Anaheim Hills, passing the 15 freeway, all the way into Corona, passing the 71, the Chino Valley Freeway, the 15 freeway, through the Riverside interchange. From there, picking up the 215 northbound, 215 north into Colton, San Bernardino, continuing up all the way to Devore, taking the 15 almost up to the top of the Cajon Pass, but before reaching that point, exiting at Cleghorn, making a U-turn, heading back down the 15, back down the Cajon Pass, back into the Inland Empire, and staying the course now on the southbound side of the 15 freeway, having already passed the 210 Foothill Freeway, now approaching the interchange with the 10. And looking up ahead, still light volume, just like this. Light to moderate volume, all the big rig traffic. You could still see north and southbound on this 15 freeway. But for a time there, he was weaving in and out of lanes, and the volume was a little...
All right, we spoke too soon there, and up. We lost our signal. I think we got Rick back again. Rick?
Southbound side of the 15 freeway still here, and we are approaching the 10. CHP helicopters still trailing from above as well, tracking every move. And again, the move of this suspect, who knows at this point. If they want to head back home to a location that's familiar, they definitely didn't want to go all the way up to the high desert on the 15 because they chose to exit and come back 180 degrees, making that turn back southbound down the 15 freeway. Now heading to a direction where this pursuit started, and perhaps the suspects, because it did appear for a point that there may have been somebody in the front passenger seat, are from that area, and they might want to head back to where this all happened, where the suspects allegedly stole this vehicle, this Camry with tinted windows, out of Anaheim. That's when the pursuit first started, just after the noon hour. Now having gone through 3 different counties and covered over an hour's time.
Yes, in fact, just over an hour ago, this is when Anaheim police attempted to stop this reportedly stolen Camry, Rick. And as far as pursuits go, you've covered countless in your days. This is my first that, I mean, literally a wide open road the majority of the time, no?
Yeah, it's rare. It is rare. Yeah, on occasion, depending upon the time of day, the day of the week, we may get a situation where freeways are open. But this one, there's been very little slowdown at all. Even the Riverside interchange, which is notoriously busy. Well, just as I say that, though, up ahead as we approach the 10 interchange, if he stays on the 15 freeway south, I am seeing some congestion heading southbound on the 15 freeway out of Ontario towards Norco and back into Corona. So let's see if he stays the course on that southbound side of the 15. The interchange right up ahead, just off to the west of our location, is Ontario International Airport. And it looks like he's going to do a little cat and mouse thing again. Is he going to up? He's going to make an exit or a transition here off of the 15 freeway southbound. He is now committed to making a transition southbound side of the 15 to the, it looks like the eastbound 210 Foothill Freeway. So now he's going to be heading east back towards San Bernardino. That's that big flyaway transition coming southbound on the 15, a 2-lane transition onto the 10 freeway here, coming off of the 15 freeway southbound. So now 10 eastbound, approaching the communities of San Bernardino and Colton again, heading away from Ontario. There he is. He's gesturing. We got a pretty good look at him. Short blue shirt, short blue T-shirt there. Looks like perhaps a white male driving that vehicle off to the right shoulder. We'll get on the extender here. We'll see if we see any movement. Can't tell. I can't make out if there's anybody in the passenger, but he's got his sunglasses on despite the cloud cover and the May gray. That's for sure. Middle lane, picking up speed here on the eastbound side of the 10 freeway here, coming away from the 15 freeway. And again, this will take him towards the communities back towards Colton and San Bernardino. We are in San Bernardino County. And again, this pursuit has covered 3 counties, starting in Orange County, then through Riverside County, then up into San Bernardino County, as far north as the 15 freeway in the Cajon Pass, having exited at Cleghorn. And as we widen out, he's really picking up speed, meandering in and out of traffic. Looks like he's getting a little more agitated. Looking back to see how close that lead unit is from the California Highway Patrol. And they are the lead agency and have been since this pursuit entered the 91 freeway out of Anaheim after it was first picked up by the Anaheim Police Department. Up ahead, still relatively moderate volume. No big backup from what I'm seeing looking off to the east, Bob and Marla.
And then he gets back to that major intersection, a major interchange up ahead, where another decision has to be made here, whether he goes back down that 215 freeway down to the 91, where, as you say, this all began. So it's been sort of a, going through 3 separate counties and several different freeways. He's just been sort of circling his way back almost.
Yeah, and it's really unclear what I think he's just trying to evade officers at this point, because he's essentially going to have completed almost a full circle here, reconnecting with that interchange he was over in Colton, being the 10 and the 215 freeway. And that's up ahead. We're heading through Bloomington right now in the Inland Empire, eastbound on the 10. And again, we'll be approaching the interchange with the 215 freeway in Colton, a few miles to the east. He continues at a pretty good clip, still going 75, 80 miles an hour, sometimes a little quicker when he starts to get a little agitated and starts to see a little backup, or at least heavier volume. And we're seeing a moderate volume, but it still looks like traffic is moving at a good clip up ahead to the east at about 65 miles an hour.
He looks like he's driving faster than that. It looks like he's really picking up some speed.
No, the traffic's moving at 65,
Gotcha.
and he's going much faster than that. Obviously, at times we clocked about 90 miles an hour. We heard there was a time back when this pursuit was in its early stages on the 91 freeway eastbound coming out of Anaheim that the suspect may have been driving at a rate of 100 miles an hour or faster. A newer model Camry with tinted windows, again allegedly stolen by the suspect out of Anaheim shortly after noon today.
And authorities, still, we anyway, aren't sure if there are other people in the car other than this man behind the wheel. And, of course, the big question is, are they armed?
Hey, we just don't know, and that is something that essentially officers have to assume. They have to assume. When you're driving erratically, evading officers, not pulling over, they're dangerous suspects. They're endangering the lives of innocent drivers on the freeway. They're endangering the lives of officers in pursuing them. And those vehicles, they're a weapon in themselves. And that we've seen suspects in the past use use vehicles that they're driving to ram officers, to ram innocent people. We've seen horrible accidents in which innocent individuals have been either badly injured or killed. Again, California, I mentioned this earlier, leads the state in situations like that, in fatalities and serious injuries as a result of these pursuits. And because of that, throughout the years in covering these pursuits, agencies have taken on different tactics to try to minimize the threat. At times, you see some agencies just pull back. They'll cover the individual from the air only, watch he or she from helicopters, that air surveillance, if they feel that the driver is just too erratic, driving in residential areas, school zones at 60, 70 miles an hour plus. They don't want to endanger the citizens of their city, so they will pull off. This pursuit has stayed, with the exception of that quick exit off the 15 freeway near the top of the Cajon Pass, has stayed on freeways, and the CHP has stayed on this suspect. Again, 91 through the Riverside interchange into the IE, picking up the 215 north, passing the 10 freeway first through Colton, then the 210, the Foothill Freeway, then continuing north up with the merge of the 215 and the 15, up through DeVore, up almost to the top of the Cajon Pass, approaching the 138, then exiting from the 15 freeway north through the Cajon Pass at Cleghorn, making a U-turn and heading back south on the 15 freeway down the hill at a really good clip, passing the 210 through Rancho Cucamonga, and then the 10 freeway, and then making the transition to the eastbound side of the 10, out of Fontana, Bloomington, and now towards Colton. And that's where we are, on the eastbound side of the 10, now approaching the 215 freeway.
Approaching the 215 freeway, and going on almost an hour and a half now that this pursuit has been going on. No telling how much gas this car has left inside, even after going up to over 100 miles per hour at times. And it's been doing basically a tour of the Inland Empire here, zigzagging through all of the various freeways out there. So, continues to go on this clip. Where are we right now, Rick?
3 counties, starting in Orange County, then into Riverside, then to San Bernardino County, and that's where we are now, eastbound side of the 10 freeway. Heading out of Bloomington. Our next stop will be Colton, approaching that interchange where this driver could make either a north or southbound transition from the 10 freeway onto the 215. If he heads southbound on the 215, and he's going to cover the same exact real estate he did when he was traveling northbound on the 215, but in the opposite direction, back down towards the Riverside interchange. If he makes his way north, then he's going to be heading right back up towards possibly Devore and the Cajon Pass. But he can continue eastbound as well. That will take him right through Redlands, into the Banning Pass, through Beaumont, and off to the east, possibly towards Palm Springs. Again, you brought up fuel again, Bob, Marla, and that is something we have to consider, being that he has been driving at a high rate of speed, meaning he's going to be burning fuel more quickly. And how much was in that tank when this vehicle was allegedly stolen? That comes into play as well. Officers are trailing at a relatively safe distance on the ground, in the air. The CHP helicopter circling very low overhead as well. And they're going to do whatever they can to end this pursuit peacefully. Does he have a cell phone? Has there been any communication made with the suspect and anybody he knows? And has that information been relayed to law enforcement? That's something we don't know at this time. Is he wanted for anything else? Do they know of this individual, or do they just know that the license plate came back as stolen when they ran it, and they have no idea who they're dealing with? And a lot of times that is the case. But perhaps the person who stole the vehicle, being that that's a pretty brazen crime in itself, could be wanted for some other issues as well. They want to bring this to an end, this pursuit, obviously, on the 10 freeway, where it continues eastbound through the Inland Empire. 3 counties, about an hour and a half now going on as he approaches the 215 freeway.
And Rick, you just mentioned the helicopters. Of course, you're in Skyfox, but then you have the Orange County Sheriff's Department helicopter, and then also the California Highway Patrol helicopter. How vital are those choppers in situations like this?
Absolutely, very, very vital in that sometimes these officers on the ground may have to pull off. They run into some traffic. They back off a little bit. As I mentioned, if it gets too dangerous, they will back off even more so that they don't agitate the driver and endanger the general public. So with the help of the helicopters, they can get an idea of where the pursuit, where that suspect continues on. Also, they're hovering just a few hundred feet. We're a bit higher, all of us media ships, so perhaps they can get a better view of what's happening inside that vehicle. Perhaps they can confirm that there is another individual in there. When we looked in close that second time, it did not appear that we could see anybody in the front passenger seat. However, early on, we saw hands hanging out, and that would have been a very difficult task for the individual driving the vehicle, which appeared now to be a white male in a blue T-shirt. Driving the vehicle, allegedly stolen out of Anaheim. Now approaching that interchange. Here we come in Colton with the 215 heading eastbound on the 10 freeway. Let's see what direction this suspect wants to go. Either direction of the 215 freeway or continuing east on the 10 freeway through San Bernardino and out towards Beaumont, Banning, and even Palm Springs. Staying in the middle lane here, though, on the eastbound side of the 10. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 CHP units. 2 a bit closer than the 2 trailing. The lead car there relaying all that information. This is a situation in which they're communicating exactly as to a game plan. We mentioned Spike Strip, staying on a freeway. A freeway like this makes it a little bit difficult. They'd have to hold traffic for some time, have everybody exit the freeway, and then assume that they're going to stay. The suspects will stay in the same direction. All right, veering off to the right, right now at least, but we've seen this so many times where he appears to be making a transition one direction and then veers back to the left. But it looks like he may stay the course here. Yep, he's going to make a transition. He's staying in the middle here. Whether he will go north or south on the 215, that's still unknown at this point. Because he could go either way at this point. Here's the deciding factor, and he is going to stay on the southbound side. So he's going to go right back where he came from, Bob and Marla, south on the 215 freeway, coming away from the 10 out of Colton, right back down towards Riverside and the Riverside interchange.
Wow.
All right, so he just does a complete loop all the way up to the Cajon Pass, turns around and comes right back down.
He may be going right back to where this started. We've seen that time and time again, where a suspect will head back into an area where the pursuit started. That it could make us think that perhaps he has some connection with that community, whether he knows it or not, just more familiar with it, thinks he can evade officers, or he doesn't have a plan. His plan is trying to evade police, and however he can do that, he's going to do it. And he's doing it now on the southbound side of the 215 freeway here, heading back towards Riverside.
Rick, question for you. So if he is heading back toward where this all began in Anaheim, if he does make his way that far back to Anaheim, does Anaheim PD step in and relinquish control of the pursuit that, they launched?
If he exits the freeway at any time in any jurisdiction, Marla, good question, then that agency will assist. If they exit the freeway, remember the California Highway Patrol, they have jurisdiction over the highways, over the freeways here in Southern California. That's why they're the lead agency. That's why they took over for Anaheim. But if this suspect chooses to exit at some off-ramp in Riverside, Riverside PD will get into the play. But yes, if he chooses to make his way all the way back into Orange County Sheriff's Department, they'll take handle, at least a partial handle of this pursuit, or in the city of Anaheim, Anaheim will pick it up as well, because that's where this alleged crime took place. And that crime is a stolen vehicle. They ran the plates on that black Camry down below here in the carpool lane, and that plate came back as a stolen vehicle at this time. Whether or not they know anything else about the suspect, that's unknown at this time. Again, tracking this on the southbound side of the 215 freeway, right back down towards the Riverside interchange, a busy interchange indeed, where again, this suspect will have an opportunity to make another transition. He could head west on the 60, he could take the 91 back down towards Corona and into Orange County, or he could stay on the 215 freeway and head towards Moreno Valley, or off to the east into Beaumont. So we'll see exactly what he does here. Southbound side of the 215 freeway, a little bit more traffic up ahead as you approach that Riverside interchange, as I can see. But still, no big delays. I'm not seeing any brake lights. The rain out in this area that was falling earlier has stopped, which is good news. That would make this situation much more dangerous. There's one of the airships down below. That's a California Highway Patrol helicopter, and you could see the difference in the altitude, Bob and Marla. They're just a couple hundred feet above the freeway. They have a better look inside that vehicle, and you could see trying to look into that passenger side of the vehicle, perhaps into the windshield as well as they get up ahead. There's likely two CHP officers, and they are officers who are flying or are in the front seat with that pilot, tracking this pursuit from the air. CHP, that white sedan is a CHP unit, and they've taken the lead now on this pursuit now, heading back down into Riverside County. We just crossed that Riverside and San Bernardino County line, back into the second county that this pursuit started in, having started in Orange County, then into Riverside County, then to San Bernardino County, and now back south on the 215 as we approach the Riverside interchange.
Clocking some serious mileage on this Monday afternoon as we approach 1:30. This began 12:10, so almost 90 minutes ago in Anaheim, as Rick has been reporting, in Orange County, making its way to Riverside County, where it currently is, then into San Bernardino County, and now really just backtracking. And at this point, it's yet to be determined, yet to be seen if this driver of this reportedly stolen Toyota Camry out of Anaheim is, in fact, heading back to where this vehicle was stolen.
Well, we'll know here shortly, Rick, whether or not he goes back onto the 91.
Picking up speed, staying to the right, meaning that, he could be making a transition here, and that's what he's showing right now. But again, we've seen a lot of
it looks like he's getting off the freeway, no? Oh.
Yeah, he's making he's getting off the freeway before the Riverside interchange.
This is definitely changes
an industrial area.
Yes.
That CHP
this is
unit's
a game
making
changer
a hard
here.
orbit here. But what he could do here, I'm looking. What he could do here is he could make a little move like he did at the top of the Cajon Pass. He's not going to do that. No, he's not going to go back towards the 215 and try to enter it in the opposite direction. He is now heading in a westbound direction away from the 215. We're a little bit north of the Riverside interchange in the community of Riverside. This is a mixed industrial residential area. There's some schools in the area as well. And you said it, Bob, this is a game changer in that now there is an opportunity perhaps for the pit maneuver. But look at this. He's really picking up speeds now, crossing the center divider against oncoming traffic. Really getting dangerous here. They want to bring this to an end quickly. And he's doing whatever he can, this suspect, to get away from the officers. That lead officer, though, is picking up. And if he has an opportunity going through that light, it was a red light there, too. If that lead officer has an opportunity to perform that pit maneuver, that pursuit intervention technique, he's going to do it for sure. Having enough space, enough safety that there's no pedestrian and other vehicles. So let's see. He's getting closer here.
Looks like he's going too fast. But this becomes a game changer also just because it becomes that much more dangerous because you're going through these intersections. It's a residential area. You talk about the schools in the area, pedestrians, cars that are going through intersections that have no idea that this pursuit is coming through. So it is a much more dangerous situation.
Coming up on the stop. May try to stop. May try to do the pit. He had clipped the curb. Yeah, he just missed it a little bit. Let's see if he bumps him again. He had light volume. There he goes. Oh, just missed it again. Tapped the back end of it. He's picking up speed. I don't think he knows where he's going, the suspect at this point, but they're going to try to clip him. He was going at such a high rate of speed down that residential area here. And here comes a UPS truck. A hard turn there. And again, this suspect, I don't think he knows where he's at. He was just trying to exit the freeway and hopefully trying to evade police. Back onto that main street now here. Back towards the freeway. That lead unit really tried a couple of times there to clip the back end of him to successfully perform that pit maneuver, but was unsuccessful. Now it looks like he's backing off just a little bit, that lead car here. So let's see what happens.
Well, it looks like the car is speeding up right now. So, you know, it's too fast for him to try to attempt a pit maneuver, but 2 attempts to do a pit maneuver there. And it was just the angle, the wrong angle for the vehicle to get into.
Yeah, he was making a turn now into a busy intersection.
Sure. And then others.
Let's see what direction he's heading southbound on this major. Let's try to get a locator for you here.
And Rick,
Main and Columbia, you just came around away from. Go ahead, Marla.
It seems, other than I would imagine some body damage to this vehicle, there was no significant damage done to it.
It didn't appear so because he just kind of got clipped on the back end there, brushed by that CHP unit, so it did not appear to compromise the integrity of the vehicle. Whipping through that left turn lane back into the main line here. Now approaching the 91 freeway here. So we'll see if he gets back on the 91. This is by the very busy Riverside interchange, the 91 and the 215 on surface streets here. Heading towards downtown Riverside now, really close, and he is running through red lights. Let's pull back just a little bit. We'll widen out. We'll see if there is a unit like tracking him, or if they've backed off. Narrowly missing that pickup truck pulling out. That's the situation where you just don't know, and we are not seeing any officers close at all at this point.
We wonder.
But the suspect doesn't know that, so he's still going to continue at a very high rate of speed. Evading officers, and they may have chosen to back off here. Riverside police definitely have been made aware of this. And yes, we got confirmation the CHP has pulled off of this pursuit from the ground. They have pulled off of this pursuit because of the danger to the public here, now that it is in a residential area.
Okay, and so in situations like this, of course, the ground units have pulled off of it. Of course, just looking out for the public's best interest and its safety, but the airship is still up.
The airship is still up. The CHP airship is definitely surveilling this pursuit from above, but this suspect may feel that he's gotten away. There's a CHP helicopter, so yeah, he's tracking this guy. They're not going to let him get away. That was a really dangerous situation, and thankfully we have not seen yet any innocent individuals involved in any wrecks, but it was very close here through the surface streets of Riverside, making lefts and rights all over the place. We're trying to just keep up. But this is old Riverside. This is heading in towards the community of Rubidoux as well, a little bit to the north, I should say, of downtown Riverside, the Mission Inn there. Residential area, 4-way stops, an older portion of Riverside County here. And pulling off to the side there. He just stopped. Let's see what happens here. Backing up. And he may think just by looking behind him that there's nobody trailing him, but now he's deciding to head on. Now, whether or not, again, it didn't appear that he got off the freeway and was making his way through this area, having known the area. I could be wrong, but it looks like he may have just thrown something out the window there as well. And if he doesn't know the area, this is an area where you could easily run into a dead end. But as of this time, I'm not seeing any units from on the ground tracking this suspect. This male suspect appeared to be a white middle-aged male suspect, wanted for this stolen vehicle, allegedly stolen out of Anaheim. It's a tree-lined area too, so forgive us for losing it for just a moment here. In a residential area. CHP helicopter overhead, also from either Riverside Police Department or Riverside County. There is a separate law enforcement helicopter watching from above. It canopied from the trees, and that may have been on purpose there. Let's see.
He is. Stopped.
There's the vehicle.
Well, there you go.
He is stopped, and he may think he's hey, I got away.
You
That's
know,
possible.
The black and whites had pulled off, so he may think that, here's an opportunity for me to try to
see a little light. Is he smoking
right.
out? Is he lighting up there? Is he lighting up possibly?
To hide from.
I think he's lighting up.
To hide from police. And at the same
there.
time, with the knowledge that these suspects in these pursuits know that there's a helicopter, they can hear the helicopter overhead. So maybe they think under the canopy of trees.
And here's the situation. Here's the situation, Bob. What'll happen is that airship, that CHP airship, they have an elaborate mapping system, an overlay on their camera, very similar to what we have up here in Skyfox. So essentially what they can do is they can map the exact location, and they are now directing officers to this location knowing that he's decided to stop here. And perhaps they could set up a situation where they could box him in on this street so that he'll have nowhere to go, at least in his vehicle. He may choose to flee out of his vehicle, or he may choose to stay the course inside the vehicle, and this could turn into a standoff. But he's deciding to be immobile at this time. He lit up there. I can't tell from your monitor. Can you guys tell if there's somebody in the front passenger seat? It doesn't appear that there is.
It's too much
again,
of a
but
glare.
it sure looked like, just sitting there, in the front. Looks like he's starting to make a little bit of a move again. Again, there you go. Okay, officer right behind. As I said, they directed him right to the point. Now he's picking up just a bit again. We'll see what he does. It says school on the road. This is a school zone, although school not quite out as of yet. Through the four-way stop, making a right turn here. Not driving too erratically. Moving slowly. He's got his hand out, it looks like. His left window, his hand out, gesturing to officers. What that means, hey, he's not pulling over. He needs to pull over. The officers, have lit him up. He knows he's being pursued. He knows he has to pull over, and he hasn't for going on an hour.
This is not very far from not very far from the Mission Inn, Rick. This is near Brockton and 5th Street in that neighborhood there. Kind of a historic neighborhood near the Mission Inn.
As I said, that's right. Very close, an old portion of Riverside, adjacent to Rubidoux. The Santa Ana riverbed down below as well, right through that intersection. Now he's picking up speed again, and those officers trailing this suspect again. So here we go. Look like, perhaps the pursuit may be winding down, and sure enough, not the case. They directed a unit to the location there in hopes that they could end it there, but now it's on the move again, heading westbound now out of Riverside. We'll be crossing the Santa Ana riverbed here in just a moment.
So is
Mission Boulevard, on Mission Boulevard westbound.
Mission and Avenue? Or
Mission Boulevard.
Mission. It's Mission heading westbound out of downtown Riverside, away from the Mission Inn, crossing over the Santa Ana riverbed. There it is now, and heading towards Jurupa Valley.
So, Rick, as we approach precisely 90 minutes since Anaheim police attempted to pull this guy over in the first place, so an hour and a half later, what is that statistic again? Remind everybody of how the percentage of suspects who in fact do get away.
About 18% or so. That's in the greater Los Angeles area. Some agencies are different, but LAPD essentially covers the bulk of the pursuits. They're the largest agency in Southern California, covering so much real estate from the northwest end of the San Fernando Valley all the way down to the Harbor District. But their stats show 18% get away. We've seen a few of late get away, and we've covered a lot of pursuits lately as well. And that begs the question, is there an uptick in these pursuits? Well, year to year, yes. There was a rather substantial increase between 2016 and 2017. And now obviously we're several months into 2018, so those numbers are just coming down. But there are more pursuits. And with that, more danger to pedestrians, to automobiles, innocent people down below. Heading westbound on Mission, adjacent to the 60 freeway here, having made his way through Orange County, where this pursuit first started. There's some pedestrians down below there, into Riverside, then San Bernardino County, and now back into Riverside County as well. He's slowing down at least at those intersections, unlike what we saw when he first exited the freeway just before the transition with the Riverside interchange, but continuing in a westbound direction on Mission.
And I can't imagine, Rick, when he was pulled over in the older neighborhood there in Riverside when you said that he was lighting up, that he was smoking a cigarette. I'm sure it was something other than nicotine.
Possibly. Yeah, that's a very strong possibility to relax him a little bit. And he's driving a little more cautiously now, slowing down. So maybe it did its magic. If that is the case, it is illegal now. However, not to drive under the influence of marijuana. And this guy's been illegal in more ways than one from the lunch hour until now here, traveling across 3 different counties, leading the Anaheim Police Department, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and the California Highway Patrol. Riverside Police getting in on the action as well. Now into a residential area again. It looks like it's an area with cul-de-sacs, and this is an area where he could get locked in again, just off of Mission, just to the south of the 60 freeway. Looks like he's going to make his way along a frontage road on the 60 in a westbound direction, a very rural portion of Riverside County. Now deciding to do a little U-turn here. Let's see what happens. He's got a dead end here. Backing up, doing the 3-point turn. Let's widen out and see if there's a CHP unit behind him or if they pulled off again. That looks like they pulled off yet again.
Wow.
But once again, the CHP helicopter is tracking him. They have their mapping. Their GPS is all flared up, so they can alert ground units as to where this suspect is. And he's decided to make a stop at the corner of Canal Street.
Oh.
I'll try to get another cross, but a residential area here just off of Mission Boulevard, just to the south of the 60, just a bit to the west of Riverside, near Harupa Valley. So moving at a slow clip again. There does look like there is a second person in the front. It does now.
There is
look
a
like
passenger,
there is a second person, a passenger in the front seat.
I believe this is the Harupa Valley. After having left Riverside on Canal, as you said, very close to the 60 freeway. But now in this residential area.
Is this a cul-de-sac? No.
There is an outlet. I mean, because he came in that way. Whether or not there's an exit point on the other side, it doesn't appear. So that's where the dead end was. But he may be trying to find his way out of this residential area, back to where he came from, perhaps back onto Mission Boulevard. He's moving slowly. Again, he doesn't see any officers behind him. He feels that, hey, maybe I got away yet again.
I have to say it's quite fascinating that the CHP and all the other jurisdictions there in the Harupa Valley and in Riverside just decided, Riverside County Sheriff's Department just decided to pull off because it was so dangerous. And now this suspect is all by himself with the chopper overhead.
And stopped literally in the middle of the
relaying.
road.
And we just heard the airship is relaying the exact intersection where he's at. And again, all those ground units, they have just as elaborate GPS spotting networks on board their vehicles, computers, and they'll be able to track down this location. So again, hopefully this is a quiet area, not seeing a lot of foot traffic or automotive traffic either. They will be able to bring this to an end, and to a peaceful end, because from our vantage point, it didn't appear that he collided with anybody except making contact with that CHP unit. You could see a little bit of damage to the bumper that may have incurred, and the front and back bumpers there. And obviously he sustained some of that when the CHP attempted multiple pit maneuvers, that pursuit intervention technique. Now on the move again. Let's wind out a little bit, see if there is a unit perhaps, and we'll tilt up, trailing down below. There are two far behind, and I think he saw them. We could see him outside of Skyfox here. So now back south of the 60 freeway here, on the east side of Riverside, near Harupa Valley here, very close to Mission Boulevard. And we'll see this intersection here, what he decides to do. This suspect wanted for automotive theft, for stealing that Camry down below in Anaheim just afternoon.
And ever since he decided to get off, what was it, the 210 earlier onto surface streets here, this is the most traffic he has encountered. But still not too bad. I mean, yes, it was very dicey there as soon as he pulled off and onto the surface streets. But now it looks to be a little bit more wide open for him. Oh. And
he's moving at a safer rate of speed right now. I'm not seeing those units behind him anymore again. So we'll see if they've pulled back completely yet again, and are just going to do the air surveillance on this. And I do see a second law enforcement helicopter. Unclear if that one belongs to Riverside. That is Riverside Police Department. So Riverside Police Department has a helicopter right on top of them. CHP is close by as well. So both agencies now, and you had mentioned that earlier, Marla, there's that is the Riverside Police Department's helicopter. Other agencies come to play in situations like this. Once you enter their jurisdiction, they're not going to have it. They're going to do what they can to protect the lives and property of their citizens that they represent. And again, when you enter a different jurisdiction and the lead agency changes, you may see a change in tactics, because all agencies have different ways of handling pursuits like this. Some are more aggressive, some are more conservative. It just depends on which agency you're dealing with. And right now, this suspect is driving rather conservatively in a westbound direction, still down Mission, parallel to the 60 freeway here, now into the Jurupa Valley area, driving at speed limit.
And in case folks are just tuning in, this pursuit began more than 90 minutes ago in Anaheim, now in the Jurupa Valley, as Rick said, paralleling the 60 freeway in Jurupa Valley. CHP officers attempted two pit maneuvers, and here's some video of that as we do the split screen for you. So there's number 2 attempt to no avail, unfortunately, and it seems that they've backed off now because of a danger to the public, although at this point in time, Rick, it doesn't look to be that they're trailing. Of course, they're still trailing, but now Riverside chopper is up as well.
That's right. Riverside Police Department helicopter, as well as the California Highway Patrol helicopter, still watching as well. But we are not seeing any units behind him in a westbound direction. This is now turned into Jurupa Road. Up. There's just as we speak, you see that black and white right across the way. Unclear if that suspect sees that unit, and if he does, I'd be interested to see if he chooses to get back on the freeway, which he can very easily. You make that little right-hand turn right there, and you're going to get right back on the freeway. There goes the unit right there, just passing right by him in an easterly direction. Let's see what it does. Let's see. He saw that, and now he's on the move again. He got a little sketched out. Once again, he saw that unit, and he goes, there's somebody there. And looking down below, that unit is continuing eastbound. He's not doing a U-turn tracking him. So he's going to be on his way with no units from the ground. Although right up ahead, I don't think he knows this, there's a police station. It's going to be on the right. It's going to be right off the right of the road here. We'll tilt the camera up just a little bit. And unclear if it's a Riverside County Sheriff's Station or if it is a what agency. But here it comes, right up ahead. It's going to be on the right. Actually, it looks like we just passed over it to the right. So he just passed a police station there off the side of the road, and we did not see any units move from that point. Moving westbound now, still backed off on the speed. He got a little agitated there, but I think he looked in his rearview mirror and saw that, hey, no one's tracking me, so I'm going to just continue on my way, and maybe I'll be one of the 18 percenters. At least in the greater Los Angeles area, that gets away from officers.
Seemingly, this is
three counties.
This is the perfect time for them, since we're on surface streets here, and sometimes at a slower rate of speed. And seemingly, this would be a good time for them to try to anticipate and throw down some spike strips at some point.
I would think.
All right, we just lost our video there of this pursuit that has been going on now since just after 12 o'clock. So it's going to be going on almost 2 hours now. That started in Anaheim just after noon today, and then has gone through 3 different counties, sometimes at a very high rate of speed on the freeway. And now we're in Jurupa Valley, where it is on Surface Street. We have Rick Dickert back now with a look at this pursuit. Where is it heading toward now, Rick?
Still heading in a westbound direction through the intersection here. It looks like he did have the green light, driving. There was 35 miles an hour. He's about that or slightly higher. I'm looking down below.
All right, we're having a little bit of a spotty signal there with Rick and Skyfox, but again, this is a black Toyota Camry that is in pursuit by CHP officers, and now in the jurisdiction of Riverside County, just out of Riverside, in fact, paralleling the 60 freeway on surface streets in this sort of industrial area. Rick, we have your signal back.
And he's continuing the course. He's staying the course westbound now, paralleling.
Apparently, this is a tough area. We do know that there has been 2 attempts by the CHP using the pit maneuver to try and put this to a close. This was after a very long time on the freeway where the driver was going at a very high rate of speed. Those pit maneuvers were unsuccessful, and then there was a time when the driver actually stopped for a very long while, seemed to have been smoking something inside the vehicle, and yet the officers had decided, because this pursuit went into a residential area and because there was such erratic driving and driving at a very high rate of speed, they decided to pull off.
Sure. And this video here is, in fact, what you just saw there, the attempted pit maneuvers in Riverside. This happened, I'd guesstimate, about 20 minutes ago, as we give you another look at this. And it was, you know, a valiant effort on CHP officers, but then since then, they've decided to back off because of the danger to the public out there. And Rick, it looks like we have your signal back. This is westbound.
Yeah, and still no ground units. He's going to be approaching this here, and there's a opportunity for the suspect, this white male, blue T-shirt, allegedly stole that vehicle, that Camry, to get on the freeway. And I see no police on the ground anywhere nearby. There still is 1 law enforcement helicopter tracking this. This is a surveillance mode. This pursuit is now, and he just made his way through that interchange. So he looks like he wants to get through here quickly, and he feels perhaps he may have been able to evade police here against oncoming traffic. Real dangerous there. There he goes, right across the 6. Up and there. Look at that. We have an officer there. A couple of officers. There's a CHP unit there as well.
All right.
Getting onto the 60, Rick?
Towards Ontario here. That's the on-ramp there, and there's a lot of CHP units pre-positioned, and now it looks like they're going to pick it up now that it is on the freeway. CHP's decided, yep.
Okay, so earlier we saw CHP back off because of just the high danger to the public out there, but now that he's gotten his way back onto the freeway, the 60 heading toward Ontario, it looks like CHP is now back to following this reportedly stolen Toyota Camry out of Anaheim as we regain our signal with Rick Dickert.
Yeah, and he is traveling westbound on the 60 freeway, now coming up towards the interchange with the 15 into Ontario, heading back towards the west, towards LA County. But he's going to exit again, I believe. Let's talk at Etiwanda. Did you decide to get off the freeway there? Yep, he's exiting at Etiwanda from the 60 freeway westbound. So let's see what happens now, and we'll see if any of those CHP units are still trailing him or if they backed off again. Looks like he's going to be making a right or northbound turn. There's the 1 CHP unit, that SUV. Crossing traffic, making a left turn, heading southbound on Etiwanda here. He may get right back on the freeway. It's very possible. Nope. He's going to go against traffic here. Really picking up speeds through this intersection. Doesn't have the green light. Against opposing traffic, heading eastbound in westbound lanes. So dangerous. There's a train trestle there overhead. Again, we'll get the street here, but heading eastbound. This is a divided highway against oncoming traffic that is going at least 40 miles an hour in a westbound direction while he travels eastbound. And up ahead, I see many vehicles. It's Van Buren. He's heading eastbound in westbound lanes on Van Buren, off the center divider there. So close to some head-on crashes here, but he's staying off the freeway. They have to bring this to an end. They got to clip this guy and get him off the road. So dangerous. Once, though, as you saw, Bob and Marlo, once they started to track him, he got agitated and his driving became more reckless. So that's a good example of why they do back off, because they feel that he's going to jeopardize the safety of innocent people down below. And he is doing just that with every car that he passes. Again, he's going eastbound on Van Buren, south of the 60 freeway, back towards Riverside, in westbound lanes. Westbound traffic coming towards them now. Hopefully what the CHP helicopter, the Riverside Police Department helicopter will do is they're going to alert police down below. All units, please block westbound Van Buren and hold traffic. That's not happening, though. Here comes some more traffic here.
How
narrow cars coming
how narrow
head on.
How narrow this narrow this center divide, this right shoulder area gets. Well, let's see. Now he's got okay, there is a CHP unit trailing. Now at least he's back in an eastbound direction in eastbound lanes, thankfully. But still, such a dangerous situation. Now on the right shoulder here, heading eastbound on Van Buren.
Wow, we just saw a really dangerous part of that pursuit there when he was on Van Buren and facing cars as they went in the, as he was driving in the wrong direction. So this pursuit.
In the center divide.
In the center divide. So this pursuit going on now.
Almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours that we're looking at here. And he continues on surface streets, not on the freeway, so it poses an extreme danger and risk to other drivers there in the Riverside, Jurupa Valley area.
Well, he clearly thinks he can get away. I mean, he was on the surface streets in Jurupa Valley, and then he made his way westbound 60 there and was immediately inclined to get off on Etiwanda. As you mentioned, eastbound Van Buren, that was the last street that we had him on, able to track via Skyfox. CHP has backed on and off of pursuing this guy because of just the incredible danger to the public out there and the innocent drivers, you know, driving along on a Tuesday afternoon now approaching the 2 o'clock hour.
It's possible it's not a situation that this driver thinks he wants to get away. Maybe the driver's on something, you know?
Sure.
I mean, there was a time when the driver was stopped in a residential area under cover of trees, and it appeared for several minutes was smoking something. So maybe this driver is under the influence, Rick.
Very possibly, and this is a narrow highway here. It looks like 2 lanes westbound, southwestbound, and that's the direction he's heading back down towards the 15. He's in the community of Jurupa Valley here. 4-way stops. Oh, look at that, against traffic. Up against it. This is not a divided highway, as you can see. 1 lane each direction. As this driver gets more and more agitated and comes across opposing traffic, it just increases the danger. And that's why officers have pulled off, got back on, pulled off again through the stop sign there, continuing in a west to southwesterly direction through Jurupa Valley, this inland empire community adjacent to Ontario, essentially sandwiched between Ontario and Riverside. He's got a little bit more space on that westbound side as opposed to the opposing eastbound, but you can see just a solid line painted on the highway that divides the roadway here. And he's coming up on another 4-way stop. He's been busting through those time and time again. And you mentioned he's gotten away, and he continues to get away. He continues to evade officers here, and as long as he does, you know, he feels, hey, I'm out of custody. I have a chance of being one that gets away and evades police and is able to make his way to freedom. And it is a male suspect driving that car.
And we did confirm earlier, Rick, that there is a passenger in this vehicle, correct?
And that's what it appeared from our vantage point. There was a passenger in the front seat. He's got a little slow traffic here, but he's looking to see if he can cross that double yellow, which is a traffic infraction. And yes, law enforcement, they keep track of that. Look at that, right against that opposing traffic through the 4-way stop. This is a very quiet residential area, horse country. There's a lot of horse stalls down below here. He's continuing westbound through Jurupa Valley and will eventually approach the 15 freeway. And we'll have a choice to get on that 15 freeway in either a north or southbound direction. Heading towards that 15 freeway now out here in the Inland Empire.
So this is westbound. Remind me of the street, Rick?
It appears to be, he's back on Jurupa Road, which connects with the 15 freeway here, or a major that does, and he is coming up on a major. And as I look out the left side of Skyfox, I can see the Riverside Police Department helicopter still tracking him just a couple hundred feet above him. Whether or not the suspect knows that, let's see what that street is right there. As he's going to make a continue. That's Etiwanda. Remember, that's where he exited the 60 freeway and then made his way east. Now back to the west, back passing Etiwanda here, but continuing in a westbound direction here. Now making a U-turn. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he says, hey, I remember Etiwanda. I think I recognize that street. Maybe I can make my way.
Oh.
Or maybe I'm
Pulling
just going to pull
the
over to the right
Mercedes?
here.
Well, this is interesting.
And maybe he's running out of gas. Is there someone in that vehicle? Does it look like there's somebody in that driver's seat?
Is he potentially going to carjack this one?
Yeah, you know, you never know. You never know situations like this. There is a driver inside that vehicle.
That's frightening.
Hey, he doesn't. You know, if whether or not he has a weapon or not, but that would be a way to try to further evade police. But maybe he's getting low on the gas dial too. As you know, as we've been saying, this pursuit's been going on for some time, up and down the very steep Cajon Pass, covering 3 counties, a good area of real estate this pursuit has covered, and how much gas this car had when it was allegedly stolen, half a tank, then he's going to be running low. No question about it at all. Burning much more fuel because he's been driving so erratically. But heading back in a westbound area, but yeah, it looks like he's been talking to a couple of cars now that he's been off the freeway. And hey, we've seen situations where if the suspect being pursued has a gun and is a violent criminal, you see them just hop out of the vehicle they're being pursued in and forcibly remove the driver of another vehicle and take on control of that vehicle. We haven't seen that yet, but there has been some dialogue between the suspect in this black Camry, allegedly stolen at Anaheim. Oh, there's a police officer there. Now let's see, is he going to get a little more agitated again? Once he does see an officer, he picks up speed, and that's what he's doing, taking that turn rather quickly. We'll try to get a locator here for you, heading back in a northbound direction here in Rubidoux Valley, back up towards perhaps the 60 freeway. I don't think he's familiar with this area. Just watching the erratic nature of his movements, where he's going, how he's been making turns. His goal is to evade police, and he has done so successfully thus far through the duration of this pursuit.
For nearly 2 hours now. Rick, you've covered, as I mentioned earlier, countless pursuits. This is one of the longer ones.
No question. This one going on a full tank of gas for us up here in Sky Fox, having, as you can see, against opposing traffic, back onto Etiwanda. Now he's in a situation yet again where he has a divide, and he is moving at a very high rate of speed, westbound now against opposing traffic. But now he's gonna slide right back over and get back in those.
And we just saw that school bus
thankfully
there at that intersection, so you know
the baseball field
how
right there.
dangerous this really can be for the oncoming drivers.
This is a newer residential area mixed with some schools as well. Heading westbound on. Actually, it's more of a northbound direction here. Northbound on Etiwanda, heading back up towards the 60 freeway in Ontario, not far from Ontario International Airport. So once he sees an officer positioned, you could see how his behavior changes, Bob and Marley. He becomes more erratic. He picks up speed. He crosses over center divider lines, goes against opposing traffic here, really creating a dangerous situation. And that's why the officers are doing what they're doing. They back off a bit. They're tracking him from above with a helicopter. They're going to do the best they can to bring this guy into custody. Oh, they want to bring this guy into custody with all the danger that he's caused to the general public here. But see, now stopping at the red light. Well, sort of. He made the California stop, slowed down, looked both ways, and then made his way through the intersection. Coming up on the 60 freeway. So let's see if he chooses to get on the freeway here. Going off to the left here. We'll see if he makes a left turn or stays the course northbound on Etiwanda underneath the tracks here. And the 60 freeway down below. That was the entrance to the eastbound 60. He's in the left lane, so let's see if he gets on the westbound side of the 60, if there is indeed a ramp here. There's the off ramp in the center divider area. Wow. Continuing northbound on Etiwanda here.
He is unafraid.
Up, back towards. Hey, he certainly is. He certainly is.
As I said, either unafraid or just on something. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so he didn't get on the freeway.
In the community of Fontana.
Oh,
no,
turning
in
around.
the community of Fontana on Etiwanda, doing a 180, heading back southbound now on Etiwanda, and will make his way back towards.
All right, on Etiwanda there, he mentioned Ontario, Rubidoux Valley area.
Rubidoux Valley, and had some choices there whether to get back on the 60 freeway. I think we have Rick back here now. Rick?
Yeah, we do whenever we do a hard turn up here in Sky Fox, we have to switch direction as well. We lose the connection sometimes with the mountaintop. But back on it for you, there's the 60 freeway, heading back 60 on Etiwanda. Essentially what he's trying to do here, he's looking in his rearview mirror. He's agitated. He wants to make sure there's no officers nearby. See, now he's going back northbound on Etiwanda again. And it looks like maybe he'll get on the freeway. Nope.
Oh,
he could have gotten on the
going up and down
60.
Etiwanda.
Yeah, he's going right back where he was, northbound on Etiwanda here, right on the border of Rubidoux Valley, Fontana, and Ontario out here in the IE. So this suspect has been, and maybe let's see what he's doing. He could be running out of gas. He's looking for somebody.
Oh.
Maybe he's going to try to finally do a foot. He's pulling into the gas station. Maybe he's going to fuel up.
Oh, come on.
Let's see. Well, he's pulling into, it looks like possibly a convenience store.
This is interesting now.
I can't tell if that is an operational gas station or not.
Getting out.
He's out.
Is he
doors,
out?
Doors
He's
opening.
getting out of. Wow, he's got a Caltrans vest on now.
Wait, is this the right? I'm sorry to ask this is the right
Hold
vehicle?
on.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's not the right vehicle.
No, it's not. We're sorry.
Okay.
When we did that hard orbit,
right.
Well,
there are a lot of black cars there. So you were on Etowanda, and we know that this vehicle was going
right there, push in.
And down, up and down.
And there's our suspect there.
Okay.
Actually,
just stopped in the middle of the intersection.
Okay,
I wonder if he's
let's go back. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back to. Let's go. Nope. There. No. See. Nope. That's the car right there, guys. There he is.
Yeah, because you can
He's
see
doing
the damage.
donuts
Now
in the
you're doing
intersection.
donuts.
Yep. That's the car. He's doing donuts in the middle of the intersection.
It has that back end damage from the
Wow.
attempted pit maneuvers earlier.
Back northbound on Etowanda. Our apologies for mixing that one vehicle up. It's been, it's chaotic up here as well. We're battling air traffic, doing hard 180s and orbits, but this is a suspect. We saw the damage to both sides of the bumpers, the front and rear bumper here. Traveling northbound on Etowanda. Yeah, that was very odd. Once I saw that individual with a Caltrans vest on, I'm wow, quick change there.
Yeah.
But sure enough, that was the wrong vehicle. We're back on the right vehicle, northbound side. And that Riverside police helicopter circling right overhead on Etowanda here, northbound, heading up now towards Fontana. Just a little bit to the north of the 60, a little bit to the east of the 15 freeway here. And again, just trying to evade police. But I'll tell you what, that other sedan was driving a little erratically as well, though, wasn't he? I don't know.
Well, it just goes to show.
I couldn't tell.
It's a erratic pursuit, erratic driving. He's been making these quick changes here, and for you to flip around like that.
And here we go. Talk about being erratic. Bam! Right across there, narrowly missing that car against oncoming traffic again. And once again, you got to really start to think of how much fuel that vehicle, how much gas that vehicle still has left, having traveled across so much. He made a leftbound turn on Philadelphia. Now on Philadelphia Street, heading westbound away from Etowanda, and he's heading in the direction of the 15 freeway, but there is not an on-ramp on Philadelphia for the 15 freeway. This is a vast industrial area of the Inland Empire.
You know what?
Again, bordering Hooper Valley and Fontana.
What's been extraordinary in this, because now we're coming up on almost exactly 2 hours since this pursuit started, is that there has really not been any traffic, not just on the freeway, but certainly on some of the surface street. It's been a pretty much an open road for this driver, and that's in
how
large
many
part
close
allowed him
calls?
To go. Yeah.
And how many close calls, Bob and Marla, we saw? Unfortunately, nothing dramatic as of yet. I have not seen, at least from when we picked up the pursuit, and that was when it just was exiting Orange County into Riverside County, westbound, or eastbound, I should say, on the 91 freeway, that I haven't seen any vehicles get struck. All right, he's making a left turn here, making a 180 yet again. See if he slows down and wants to be camouflaged by those trees. On Philadelphia, heading back where he came from. As we make a hard turn, we may lose our picture for just a second, so bear with us here. Heading back, again, in the same direction. He doesn't have a plan. He does have a plan. He's heading back eastbound on Philadelphia towards Etowanda. Eastbound on Philadelphia towards Etowanda at this point. And
it's surprising to me, Rick, that the CHP has decided to completely just pull off of this, and or any of the local jurisdictions there in Harupa Valley or Riverside, that throughout this entire time, we've going on through 2 hours now, going through surface streets, and they still, it's just a different strategy. They have to decide what's they believe is going to be safest for the public, but it's definitely a different strategy.
Safety, is first, obviously, and he's been driving so erratically. Eastbound on Philadelphia, approaching Etowanda, and looking up ahead, I do see a CHP unit positioned at that intersection. I could see the Riverside Police Department helicopter hovering still, tracking his every move, just a couple hundred feet ahead. As we push into the intersection, that's Philadelphia, running bottom to top, Etowanda left to right.
Again.
And across, there we go. Oh, so close. That was very close. And I think he saw that CHP unit. That's when he really starts to get flustered and drives erratically across lines here against opposing traffic, busting through red lights. Wow, this is something else. This is one that, in terms of its length, in terms of the different characteristics of this pursuit, it's been a unique one for sure. Having traveled 3 counties in the community of Harupa Valley, let's see what he does here. Coming off of Philadelphia,
going down the wrong
right
way,
or southbound traffic. Yep, against opposing traffic here. He could very well run into a dead end again, and that's you know, if there are units just close enough, if he finds himself in a dead end position,
This looks to be an industrial
they could bring
area.
this to an end. Yeah, definitely by a wash here, heading southbound, primarily industrial here. If we pedal just a little bit to the right, I'll see up ahead here. Yeah, he's gonna go around this whole industrial park here. He's got very light traffic, and he can make his way out of this area again if he navigates correctly. And I am not seeing one unit on the ground. It looks like his rear left tire. Up, I see a little damage there. You guys see that?
On the back
left
right.
rear tire. Left rear tire.
Yes,
Looks like
yes,
he's losing.
it does look.
Looks like he's. Oh, it's going down quickly.
Well,
so this may be his demise.
That
And
could
it looks
certainly
like
slow him
he's starting
down.
to creep open that. Is he opening up that door? Yep.
Yes,
coming
he
to a
is.
stop.
Oh.
Now. Coming to a stop. He's looking around. I mean, he's engaged with other. There he is
There he
with his
goes.
blue shirt.
Okay.
Now he's running. He's on the move, and that Riverside police helicopter is right on top of him. Right on top of him.
So it's
let's see
2:11,
what he
and
does
I
here.
note the time because this started at 12:10, so we're just over 2 hours exactly that this guy has now foot bailed here in Harupa Valley.
We only saw one person coming out of that vehicle. This looks like to be some kind of a warehouse or office
Hey,
park.
wait, is that the same? Did he get back inside
and
that vehicle? Let's push in, Pat. Let's push in. Let's
and
push
he
in.
looks like he got out and started.
He's back.
Is
He's
he
back inside that. He's back
Wait.
in his vehicle, I believe.
or if there was the
Unless it's
passenger who took the wheel, or is this?
That's no.
No.
See, that looks like. Hold on a second.
Wait.
There's a female. That almost looks like the vehicle that we tracked.
This is
with
very
a guy
confusing.
with a Caltrans sign. He's getting in the car, and whether or not
Did he get into a different
whether or not-
vehicle?
whether or not he was able to commandeer that vehicle, we missed it because we were, on the side. Now, there's a microvan tracking this, and that female passenger. Sure enough, there was a passenger inside that vehicle.
She got out too,
Wow.
and then got into the other vehicle.
I cannot tell you if the driver, the male with that baseball cap and that blue T-shirt, was the one who commandeered that other vehicle. Whether or not another driver came up and picked them up, I seriously doubt that, just because of the erratic nature of this suspect being pursued, that they could organize that.
So okay, so we're looking at a
What's on the
black
ground?
pickup.
Wait, now we have somebody on the ground. Oh, she's on the ground now. She's on the ground. That's the female on the ground.
Another.
She's laid out.
The woman get into that
Hold
car?
on, that car. Let's go back to tilt back down. That car was rolling backwards. Ah, wow.
What a turn of events. So the last we
Okay,
saw of the
now let's tilt down. Let's tilt down and push in. That is the tilt down just a little bit, Pat. Tilt down a little bit more. No. Okay. So now that is a different. Go that way. This guy may have been carjacked. It's very possible, or he was told. Okay, now I want to tilt the camera down just a little bit. Here's the suspect's car. There's.
okay.
Okay. So what was you? Okay. So we'll tilt up. We'll show you the female. Now they are still in pursuit of that other dark sedan. So I'm going to follow that end of this, and that is on the industrial road just to our southwest.
So Rick, to
Here
clarify,
it is right here. Okay, Pat. Let's hold on 1 second. Widen out just a little bit. Pan the camera to the right. Pan the camera to the right. If you go to right across, now tilt up that street right there. Tilt up. Okay, on this street, see that? That is the Riverside Police Department helicopter. Follow that street down to the right, and we're going to see. That is where the pursuit is taking place, on that street right there. The individual who came across, and again, we missed part of what happened at this point. Let's push into that vehicle right there. Let's push into that vehicle. Is that the vehicle? Wow. Yes, that looks like the vehicle that was being driven by the suspect in that blue T-shirt. We saw the female laid out on the street.
the Toyota Camry that was being pursued has back end damage.
It's disabled. It's done. It's done.
Okay,
that car's done.
That car's
I
done.
saw it. I can still see it disabled.
Okay.
It ran it. Now all the police activity is back behind us with this woman being taken into custody. So, again, if I could get some direction, because I was getting direction into my ear as to where we want to go, but there's a lot of police activity taking place back where the first part of this pursuit initiated. Let's go back over there and see what's going on there. let's go back to the left. We'll pedal back to the left here, and we'll go back and see that female being taken into custody. I'm seeing very few law enforcement cars in pursuit of if that guy did continue on. That Riverside police helicopter is circling overhead here as well. Let's go back to the left here. We're going to go back to that industrial complex, and we're going to show you where this sort of came to an end. We'll pan the camera to the left by the wash here. If you go left, Pat, you're going to be coming upon it. More to the left, left. I can see it out my window. It's right here off to our right, low at our 1 o'clock. Okay, tilt down just a little bit more. Tilt down a little bit more. Okay, now pan left. All right. They are? Okay. A little bit more. Okay. So this is where this ended. We're going to get back on 801 northbound, and we're going to go track that. We have very few minutes left up here. We're doing the best we can to cover this very erratic situation here. Northbound back on Etiwanda is the driver that we saw exit the one vehicle that was disabled with a cap on and a blue T-shirt. I don't know if he commandeered another car, if he knew somebody, but we saw him exit the area, the female trying to catch up with that car, but then we saw the female laid out on the road, and then it looked like just an innocent bystander directing police. So here we go. Here's the Riverside City Police helicopter that's tracking this vehicle northbound, only in the air. CHP helping as well.
We could at least take a look at the video of that moment there, so maybe we can try to discern. I know we only got part of it, but it did look like the vehicle was disabled and that the driver bailed out of the car, and then at some point there looked like there was some sort of another vehicle, perhaps that was carjacked. A person was carjacked, and then as another car was driving away, the female is running towards the car, the other car that is moving, and looks like she's apprehended.
Yeah, it appears that she was laid out on the roadway, and hopefully her condition was okay, although she's a suspect too. Whether or not she was in that vehicle on her own accord or not. And we're just searching for this vehicle that's being pursued only by law enforcement helicopters.
So the assumption then, Rick, is that the suspect who foot bailed out of the Toyota Camry is in another vehicle still being pursued by at least this one airship.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we're getting a handle on it right now. We're going to go back over to the location, the last location that we heard that individual was being...
All right, well, we have just lost Rick there in the Rubidoux Valley.
Channel 5 has it.
An amazing turn of events there. So what we've seen, and we got the signal back up, as we're over a neighborhood, that's an airship there tracking now another vehicle that the suspect is now in. So this is vehicle number 2 being pursued for the day.
We're still trying to ascertain. We're still trying to ascertain how the other vehicle, what happened with this other vehicle. It does look like the first car that police were pursuing was disabled. The rear tire looked like it was out. And then the suspect, the driver, foot bailed, got out and started running. And it is possible, we believe, that through that the different warehouses that were over there, they hid from view and somehow may have carjacked another vehicle. And as he was driving away, the female passenger inside the car tries to get out as well and tries to get into the other vehicle that's pulling away and is unable. She is taken into custody, but we do believe there is likely another pursuit that is underway.
Sure. And the assumption, again, is that she was taken into custody, but we didn't see
she looked like she was
laid out
prone on the ground,
which was an interesting position if she was already adhering to CHP officers' rules. All right, Rick, where are you, and what are we looking at? Oh, okay. Right. Rick is obviously working
I think he's trying to work
it all
out. It looks like there is still a pursuit that's underway. That there's another vehicle. We're just gleaning that this came from some sort of a carjacking at the end of that one pursuit, and part of the confusion lies in the fact that not only are there two vehicles, they're both black.
They're
they
both
look
black.
almost
They're
exactly
both
the same.
sedans,
They're
sure.
both sedans, and you know.
And how quickly it happened in terms of we saw the suspect bail out of that Toyota Camry, make his way through a parking lot, and then before you know it, there's another vehicle being pursued, and it's, again, we assume that it's that suspect who's behind another vehicle as the airship tracks that vehicle now.
Also, what makes it even more difficult and confusing is that the black and whites, the CHP cruisers, as well as the other law enforcement in that jurisdiction decided to pull back. So the only views that we were getting from the vehicle, that vehicle was from the sky and not on the ground. So he was able to hide from view of the police choppers.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Unfortunately, I wish that we could have bring you more of a conclusive end here to this CHP pursuit of a stolen car suspect in the Rubidoux Valley now, but this began, for a quick recap here, if you've been following along, at 12:10 this afternoon in Anaheim, where an Anaheim K9 unit attempted to stop this stolen vehicle, reportedly stolen out of Anaheim, and then that driver, that suspect, took CHP officers through 3 counties.
Yeah, we're going to get a clearer picture of like how this came to an end and whether or not there is still a suspect on the loose here. We'll have a full wrap up on the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock. Until then, we'll bring you back